back to another episode of Roguelike of the Week, where I play a roguelike in a week, beat it, and then let you know if it's worth it or not. Now, on this week's episode, we've got Dead Zone Rogue. This game has been suggested to me multiple times by different people, telling me to try it out and let them know if it's worth it or not. So Dead Zone Rogue is a fast-paced, first-person shooter roguelike game that's mission-based. So first off, let me just say, this is one of the best looking first-person shooter roguelikes out there on the market, period. It also has some of the best gunplay of any first-person shooter I've ever played across any first-person shooter game. The guns feel responsive, the shooting feels really great, the mechanics are super good, the diversity in the guns are amazing. So basically, you're some guy who doesn't remember anything, he doesn't have a face anymore, and he keeps spawning back at this ship every time that he dies, and he doesn't know why. What you're going to be focusing on is trying to complete the different missions for the different zones. So there's 3 zones in this game, and each zone has multiple missions per zone. Once you complete the main mission of the zone, you can move on to the next zone. However, the missions that open up after you finish the first one are more like challenges, you know, only melee enemies, only ranged enemies. And then the very last mission or the very last challenge of every zone is just a wave shooter. Basically, just try and get however high you can in the waves and you get rewards based on it. And as is tradition with roguelike games, you do get currency and upgrades that are permanent for future runs, but there's really nothing else. Since you get all of the weapons in the runs, you're not unlocking weapons for next runs. The only thing that you're getting is cosmetics. Now, the first issue that I have with this game is the enemy variety. I do think that the bosses are pretty good. I mean, you get the same boss every time you verse a boss in each zone, but the enemies don't really vary until you get to zone 3. At that point, you start unlocking different types of enemies with different types of attacks. But throughout all of the missions on zone 1 and zone 2, I mean, you're pretty much versing the same enemy types. But then once you hit zone 3, it's like a total game changer. And plus, I feel like the difficulty spikes unreasonably high for zone 3 as well. Now, you can play this game co-op. I have not tried it co-op. I played through the whole thing solo, but I could see how this would be really fun in a co-op situation. Now, let's talk about the builds, right? Because that's a big part of roguelike games. I feel like the best build in the meta build is just maintaining ammo. So for example, there's a power that you can get where every time you get a kill, it reloads the second weapon that you have that you're not using. And you've got things like as soon as you switch your gun, you shoot faster, or you don't use any ammo for 3 seconds. And that has gotten me through the majority of the missions. In my opinion, the secondary guns in this game are better than the primary guns. But overall, I would highly recommend this game. I do think it is incredibly well made. It's a lot of fun. I've put about 32 hours into it, and honestly, I never felt like it got too repetitive, so I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 for this week's Roguelike of the Week.